The Devil Himself, The Worst of the Epstein Files, by Patrick Boyle. Running at about 46 minutes, this is Patrick Boyle at his sardonic best, dissecting the Department of Justice's massive data dump of over 3 million pages of Epstein records with the precision of a forensic accountant and the dry wit of a British comedian. This video covers the bombshell revelations, the suspicious redactions, the international fallout, and the deeply disturbing documents that most other commentators have been too uncomfortable to discuss. Section 1. The release that was designed to fail. The DOJ finally got around to releasing over 3 million pages of records related to their Jeffrey Epstein investigations, and as Boyle notes with characteristic dryness, unlike Jeffrey Epstein's parties, you had to confirm you were over 18 to open the files. But the release itself was an absolute mess. On the first day, the DOJ website featured a convenient download all button that let journalists grab the entire dataset at once. Once the department realized people were actually using it, that button was removed and replaced with a system requiring you to download files one by one. Documents have been appearing and disappearing. A file known as EFTA 1667, which contained a list of unverified FBI tips about the US president, briefly became the most famous PDF on the internet before being scrubbed from the site the next morning. As of recording, it had not been re-uploaded. The DOJ claimed they were rectifying redaction errors. Boyle's assessment is blunt. This does not actually feel like a true effort at transparency. As one commenter on his earlier video put it, "Oh no, they are finding needles. Quick, add more hay." Section 2. Bill Gates, STDs and bridge tournament drugs. The first big scandal to break involved Bill Gates. In two frantic, typo-ridden emails that Epstein sent to his own inbox in 2013, he appeared to suggest that Gates contracted an STD from Russian girls and asked Epstein to obtain antibiotics so Gates could secretly give them to his then-wife Melinda. Epstein also claimed to have provided Adderall to Gates for his bridge tournaments. Gates has denied these claims, calling them the work of a disgruntled liar. Boyle's commentary is perfect. If true, it is a damning indictment of the American healthcare system, where even one of the wealthiest men in the world could not get a doctor's appointment and had to go to a convicted sex offender for his basic healthcare needs. He then wonders aloud whether Warren Buffett, Gates' bridge partner, found it frustrating listening to him talk at a mile a minute, hopped up on speed. Section 3. The Redaction Circus. The redactions themselves are, as Boyle describes, frankly bizarre. The same document has been uploaded multiple times with completely different redactions each time. Case numbers blacked out in one version are visible in another. His personal favorite was the decision to redact the JP from JP Morgan, presumably to protect the privacy of a multi-billion-dollar investment bank that has been a household name for over a century. The New York Times and AP found that the DOJ accidentally released unredacted photos of victims, including some who had never come forward publicly. So the government is busy publishing private victim photos while blacking out the names of suspected co-conspirators. The law required every redaction to come with a written justification. Those explanations are nowhere to be found. Entire 100-page files are just solid black blocks. And for documents withheld for national security, the DOJ was supposed to provide unclassified summaries, another requirement that appears to have been filed in the same place. They keep the download all button. Section 4. The prosecutor who actually did her job. Marie Villafana was the original lead prosecutor who, unlike her superiors, actually seemed interested in doing her job. By May 2007, she had assembled an 82-page prosecution memo and a 53-page draft indictment. Critically, she did not just focus on the abuse. She followed the money, broadening the investigation to include money laundering and unlicensed money transmission. She subpoenaed Epstein's banks and even contacted Les Wexner, his most important client, about their business arrangements. Bloomberg reports this sent Epstein into a tailspin. His lawyers launched a campaign to have Villafana removed, arguing her tactics were unduly invasive. The remarkable part is not that Epstein tried to stop her. It is that it worked. Despite the prosecutor warning her superiors that Epstein was a continuing threat, she was ordered to stop investigating and begin plea negotiations. The result was the infamous sweetheart deal overseen by Alex Acosta, which gave Epstein a few months in county jail and provided blanket immunity to any potential co-conspirators, essentially turning the U.S. Justice Department into a private security firm for Epstein's entire social network. Section 5. Why political connections do not explain it. Boyle makes a fascinating comparison. Dennis Hastert, who had been a congressman for 20 years and was the 6th longest-serving Speaker of the House, was convicted using financial technicalities when the statute of limitations had run on his actual crimes. No sweetheart deal for him. If political connections alone could explain Epstein's protection, Hastert should have gotten one too. There had to be something more. The mobster-style intimidation angle does not hold up either. Epstein reportedly turned up early one morning at Vanity Fair editor Graydon Carter's office, spent the morning berating him about a profile that included abuse allegations. A live bullet was left on Carter's doorstep. A severed cat head appeared in his garden. Vanity Fair scrubbed the allegations. But Boyle points out that the same FBI that was supposedly intimidated by Epstein was simultaneously conducting the largest mafia takedown in the agency's history, rounding up 127 mob members, and hunting down Whitey Bulger, who was suspected of 19 murders. They were hardly going to be terrified of a creepy pedo whose primary method of intimidation was showing up early for meetings and leaving dead house pets on porches. It is not exactly The Godfather. Section 6. The Intelligence Asset Theory. A newly released FBI document gives weight to the theory that Epstein was an intelligence asset. This is an FD 1023, a form used to record information from confidential human sources. The source alleges that Alan Dershowitz specifically told Acosta that Epstein belonged to both US and Allied intelligence services. It goes further, claiming Epstein trained as a spy under former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, that Dershowitz himself was co-opted by Mossad, and that Mossad would debrief Dershowitz after his calls with Epstein. The document even alleges that Donald Trump had been compromised by Israel, and that Jared Kushner was the real brains behind the operation. Boyle urges massive caution here, noting that a confidential source can range from a highly placed operative to someone who just enjoys sharing gossip on encrypted messaging apps. But the fact that the FBI was recording these allegations as late as October 2020 shows the intelligence angle was not just a conspiracy theory. Section 7. The crypto connection and Howard Lutnik. Epstein's social network inevitably reached into cryptocurrency. Through Brock Pierce, the former Mighty Ducks child actor turned crypto mogul, Epstein secured a $3 million stake in Coinbase in 2014, one of the few times his financial genius resulted in a profit. He sold half in 2018 for $15 million, and the rest doubled again by Coinbase's IPO. Pierce and Epstein exchanged emails mixing investment advice with social invitations. In one 2018 email, Pierce reportedly invited Epstein to Antigua for a boat trip, featuring what he described as Ukraine's finest. Boyle notes he did a quick Google search, and Ukraine is most famous for borscht, so that is probably what Brock was talking about. It seems like a terrible idea to eat beetroot soup on a boat, but it is not illegal, especially in international waters. Meanwhile, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik's connections to Epstein run deeper than his carefully crafted podcast narrative suggests. The real estate records show Epstein transferred a Manhattan townhouse to Lutnik for $10 and other valuable consideration. Emails from 2012 show Lutnik and his family planning a visit to Epstein's private island, 4 years after the guilty plea. An FBI document even contains allegations that Lutnik made his money through Ponzi schemes and money laundering. Section 8. The bank's new suspicious activity reports revealed in an unprecedented disclosure. The files include suspicious activity reports, documents that are essentially never revealed to the public. These show that major financial institutions were flagging Epstein's accounts for suspected human trafficking and money laundering long before his 2019 arrest. Jess Staley at JP Morgan lobbied to keep Epstein as a client in 2011 when other executives wanted to drop him over trafficking concerns, yet JP Morgan did not file a suspicious activity report until 2019, 8 years later. Leon Black's relationship is particularly revealing. When Black seemed reluctant to pay an inexplicably large fee, Epstein reminded him, "As you are well aware, there is little I will not do for you, and a great deal that I have already done, both known and some things that will need to remain unknown." Black went on to pay Epstein over $150 million for tax advice that a congressional committee later described as information already in the public domain. Section 9. The reputation laundering machine. The post-plea deal effort to rehabilitate Epstein's image was a multi-million-dollar operation. Al Seckel, who described himself as a cognitive scientist but had no real qualifications, was given the job of burying negative articles. He hacked Epstein's Wikipedia page to swap his arrest mugshot for a more dignified photograph, calling it an important victory. He organized the Mindshift Conference on Epstein's Island in 2011, a gathering of Nobel laureates designed to give Epstein intellectual credibility. As Boyle puts it, if you could get enough famous scientists to eat soup on your boat, people might eventually forget about the 82-page prosecution memo sitting in a drawer in Florida. Seckel died in France in 2015 after falling or jumping from a cliff, but because his death remained unconfirmed by authorities for some time, rumors persist that the man who made a career out of visual illusions and cleaning up inconvenient online footprints may have faked his own death, which would have been the perfect ending. Steve Bannon worked with Epstein on a sympathetic documentary around 2019. He even suggested Woody Allen could help edit it. Epstein's calendar shows nearly 100 meetings with Allen, including trips to a film center to watch Allen edit. A populist media firebrand and a legendary director teaming up to help a convicted sex offender polish his public image. Section 10. The international fallout versus American silence. The contrast between international and American responses is stark. In the UK, the Metropolitan Police launched a criminal investigation into Peter Mandelson for misconduct in public office, a charge carrying a potential life sentence. The files show Mandelson, while a serving government minister, was providing Epstein with real-time insight into market-sensitive UK policy, including confidential briefings on the 2008 financial crisis and early confirmation of a €500 billion bailout. In Slovakia, a former foreign minister resigned. In Norway, police opened a corruption investigation into a former prime minister. In Turkey, prosecutors launched an inquiry into child trafficking. Elon Musk's name appears more than 1,000 times in the files. One email has him writing to Epstein on Christmas morning, saying he wanted to hit the party scene and let loose, and that a peaceful island experience was the opposite of what he was looking for. Meanwhile, the official position of the FBI remains unchanged. They say their systematic review revealed no incriminating client list and no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. As Boyle observes, in the business of political accountability, the Atlantic Ocean acts as a very effective filter. The video closes with the story of Mark Dutroux, an unemployed electrician in Belgium whose case of child abduction and murder was so badly mishandled by police that 300,000 people took to the streets in protest, leading to a complete reorganization of Belgium's law enforcement. The parallels to Epstein's case are unmistakable. Key takeaways: the DOJ's file release was designed for maximum opacity, with disappearing documents, bizarre redactions, and missing justifications suggesting this was not transparency, but damage control. The files reveal financial institutions were flagging Epstein for trafficking and money laundering years before acting, with JP Morgan waiting 8 years to file a suspicious activity report. The intelligence angle gains significant weight from newly released FBI documents recording allegations of Israeli and US intelligence involvement. International governments are investigating and prosecuting based on the same files that American authorities claim contain nothing actionable. The reputation laundering effort involved hacking Wikipedia, staged conferences with Nobel laureates, and a documentary collaboration between Steve Bannon and Woody Allen. Perhaps most disturbingly, documents describe victims being treated as biological assets, with evidence of forced pregnancies and children being taken away, claims that do not appear to have been investigated. The Epstein files are not just a collection of names and scandals. They are a map of a world where accountability is a luxury that only applies to people without a yacht or a $10 real estate deal on the Upper East Side.